In recent months, WWE has gone through something of a renaissance in quality, to the point that many fans now consider the show to be at the best it's been since the early 2000s. And sure, a lot of the reason for this can be put down to a change in management, but that shouldn't negate the contribution of the various wrestlers who have helped to rebuild the company's recent renaissance. But who are the best of the best when it comes to the performers of this new era? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be looking at today. And where better to start than with the leader of this new era, Cody Rhodes. Yes, if this new era of WWE had an ace, then it would undoubtedly be the American Nightmare, as since rejoining the promotion at WrestleMania 38, he's been one of the most over stars they've had. It didn't matter who he was facing and what injuries he was being forced to endure, fans were behind Cody no matter what. And that was something which all eventually led to Triple H realizing that if there was ever going to be someone perfectly suited to ending Roman Reigns' lengthy run as undisputed WWE Universal Champion, it was the grandson of a plumber. And so began the finishing of the story, one of the best angles WWE has done in years, as heading into WrestleMania 39, most fans anticipated Cody beating the Tribal Chief in the main event of Night 2. And in what turned out to be a great thing in the long run, he would lose this one, as in the end, things worked out perfectly. Why is this? Well, because after spending a year building himself back up and maintaining his popularity with fans, the youngest Rhodes' son went on to challenge Roman again, and this time would beat him for the gold, heralding in a new era in the process. Where will Cody go from here? Wherever he wants to, it seems, because for as long as he wants to keep on wrestling, he'll no doubt have a spot in the WWE's main event scene waiting for him. Even if he goes on to work in movies, as his upcoming cameo in the new Naked Gun remake suggests he might be starting to do, WWE fans will welcome him back with open arms whenever he returns. Yes, it's a rare thing for a traditional babyface to get this over in the modern day, so Triple H should take full advantage of what he has while he still has it, because Cody has now fully proven that he is simply undeniable as world champion. But he's not the only world champion in modern-day WWE who deserves a spot in today's video, because the exact same thing could be said for the current top guy on Raw, Damian Priest. Now, we know it's early days for Priest as champion, and so to call him a great might seem a little premature, but if his recent work is anything to go by, then we're sure he'll be great in the role. After all, as a key member of the Judgment Day, he's helped to make that faction the top thing on Raw at points. And with him finally getting his big win at WrestleMania, there's no reason for him to wait in the shadows with his Money in the Bank briefcase any longer. No, and now that he's got the gold around his waist, Damian Priest can finally achieve his true form, that of a world champion who can serve as the main event of a brand. And with Raw in many ways feeling like the top brand in all of WWE right now, this is a good place for Priest to be. The only question is how long he will hold that title for, and when he does eventually drop it, will he be able to maintain the same level of momentum? We'd be inclined to think yes to the latter question, as even when he no longer holds the top prize, he'll still have Dirty Dom, Rhea Ripley, and Finn Balor by his side, helping him whenever he needs an extra boost. Yes, the Judgment Day has truly proven that when they work together, there's no one who can beat them. It's true of the men's division, and it's most certainly true of the women's division as well, something which can be seen in our next subject, Rhea Ripley. Seriously, in all of wrestling right now, there's no bigger women's star than Rhea Ripley. And the reason for that is because over the last few years, she's absolutely dominated her division through brute force and sheer tyranny of will. That's right, she's the closest thing we have to a modern-day Chyna. And that's something she's done all throughout this new era of WWE. Hell, there's a reason she was on the cover of 2K24, and that's because she's one of the most recognizable figures the company has created in recent years. In fact, the only thing that's been able to slow her reign of dominance at all is injury, because following a recent bad bump she took during a backstage segment with Liv Morgan, Mommy has been put on the shelf for the foreseeable future. Once she returns though, we've no doubt it'll be right back to dominating things in the way that only she can. And by the time she does come back, we'll probably be seeing our next subject peek his hat out from hibernation once more too. Who are we talking about here? Why, Roman Reigns, of course. Now, while Cody Rhodes has currently perched himself in the spot of top babyface of the company, you could argue he wouldn't have gotten there had he not had a foil like Roman Reigns to play off of. Yes, while that first decade or so of his run might have been hampered by questionable booking and fan rejection, ever since he returned to the ring in 2020 with an all-new heel Tribal Chief character, the head of the table has been one of the most compelling figures on WWE TV. Sometimes it's been as the dominating champion who no one could defeat. Sometimes it's been as the megalomaniacal boss of his own mafia-like organization. And sometimes it's even been as a man desperate to cling on to power in the face of his family abandoning him. Whatever role he's been playing, though, Roman has consistently drawn viewers over to SmackDown since Triple H took over the reins of creative. But then why wouldn't he? Because with the Bloodline being at points the hottest angle in the entire industry, and with him serving as the linchpin of this, there's been no player in the WWE system more key to them having the success they've had recently. And then there's that run as undisputed WWE Universal Champion, a run which lasted for 1,316 days and saw the NYE family member become the fourth longest reigning champion in company history, behind only Hulk Hogan, Bob Backlund, and Bruno Sammartino. Sure, he may now no longer be champion, but that doesn't mean he can't still have a key role to play in this new era of WWE going forward. After all, we still haven't fully ended the Bloodline saga yet, and it won't end until the Tribal Chief challenges our next subject one-on-one, The Rock. That's right, he may not be a full-time wrestler anymore, but that doesn't mean Dwayne Johnson hasn't been a key figure in WWE's creative renaissance recently. Why is that? Well, as of January 2024, the Great One has become a member of the board of WWE's parent company, TKO, meaning he at this point technically outranks the likes of Triple H and Nick Khan. And that has allowed him free reign to be as creative as he wants whenever he is on screen then, whether that be filling up the swear jar on episodes of Raw, or reminding us why he was so great at the turn of the millennium by holding rock concerts on episodes of SmackDown. Yes, it's true that he is going to be off TV for a while now in order to film his Mark Kerr biopic, The Smashing Machine, but we fully expect to see him return in time for either SummerSlam or WrestleMania 41 to face Cody Rhodes. In fact, given the way things are going behind the scenes at WWE, we wouldn't be surprised to see him have full creative control of the product by that point. Yes, it remains entirely possible that this could eventually go from being a new era led by Triple H to an even newer era led by The Rock. Of course, if that time comes, we've no doubt our next subject will be a key player in the Great One's arsenal, as he's quite simply one of the best wrestlers in the world. That's right, it's time to talk about Gunther. Yes, Gunther truly is on a whole other level to most performers in terms of his in-ring work. After all, it was his great matches that led him to have the longest Intercontinental title reign of all time at 666 days. That's right, he's been one of the biggest highlights of WWE ever since he was first called up to the main roster in 2022. Really, you could easily make the argument he's the best in-ring wrestler in WWE right now. And considering he's only 36 years old, the Ring General should still have at least a decade worth of wrestling left in his career yet, and probably more, as with modern medicine being what it is and most of his matches involving him beating the ever-loving hell out of his opponents and taking little in the way of bumps, we don't see any reason why he should slow down anytime soon. No, expect many more chops from hell coming from him in the future. Who knows, he'll maybe even deliver a few to our next subject, Logan Paul. Yes, we know he's a controversial personality amongst many fans, but it remains undeniable that as far as celebrities turned wrestlers go, Logan Paul is one of the best, if not the greatest of all time, and this has been evident in each and every one of his matches thus far. It doesn't matter if it's Ricochet, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Rey Mysterio, or Kevin Owens, Logan has consistently delivered whenever he's asked to step in the ring, and that's been a huge positive for WWE in the current era it's in then, because with him being there and using his online celebrity status to bring his followers along for the ride, it's helped the company's TV ratings to no end. The only question left then is who will be the one to eventually dethrone him for his United States title. Well, while there have been a variety of names suggested for this over the months he's held it, the one most fans would like to see would be our next subject, none other than L.A. Knight. Yeah, what a meteoric rise this guy has had over the last couple of years. From being an upper mid-card act in NXT, to getting buried upon moving up to the main roster as part of the jobber tier Maximum Male Models, all the way up to getting reskinned once more by Triple H once he took over, and from there pushed as a big deal. Of course, the reason LA Knight was pushed so hard at this point wasn't because the company were trying to force him on fans. No, quite the opposite in fact, as it was the fans who were telling WWE what they wanted, and what they wanted was LA Knight. What made him so popular during this current era? Is it his catchphrase-heavy throwback character that apes the likes of Steve Austin and The Rock? Is it his high levels of charisma and promo ability? Yes to all of these. and because the game has been a lot more open to going with what audiences are telling him, it's meant the Maryland native has been able to become something of a cult sensation over the last year or so, enough to where he's, at points, been getting bigger reactions than almost anyone else on the roster. Unfortunately though, as of yet, this has not translated into title success for him. No, while he has had opportunities, LA Knight remains beltless in his current incarnation. But like we suggested a moment ago, if he ends up being the one to finally win the United States title from Logan Paul, then that won't be a problem forever. And if that happens, his fans will at last be able to see him get the full recognition he deserves. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that to happen, we can expect to see Knight remain a key fixture on SmackDown going forward, as with him being one of Triple H's top babyfaces currently, every opportunity to get him on TV on Friday nights should be taken advantage of. But what about our next subject? Someone who just recently made a big return to the company after years away, CM Punk. Yes, since his return to WWE at the 2023 Survivor Series, Punk has been a major part of this new era, so much so that even when he's not an active member of the roster, he's still being called upon to show up and appear in a segment or two. Yes, ever since getting injured at the Royal Rumble, we've seen Punk show up a couple of times on Monday nights to get into verbal battles with other people on the show. And whenever he has shown up, it's meant a boost for ratings. Yes, while he might have only had one televised match since his return, he's been an important figure during 2024 regardless, and will likely continue to be an important figure going forward, no matter what his role on the show is. In fact, when he does come back from injury, he already has a couple of ready-made feuds waiting for him, one of which is against the man who's arguably the best thing going in WWE today. Who are we talking about this time? Who else but Drew McIntyre? After all, it's Drew who managed to get so over by basically doing the Bret Hart in 1997 gimmick of being a heel who's secretly a babyface. And it's him who delivered such cutting lines as, "I prayed for this and it happened," when confronting CM Punk after he injured him. In fact, no matter what Drew has done over the last couple of years, it's been excellent. And this is exactly why Triple H has pushed him so hard and had him play such a key role in his television as of late. Hell, if you pushed us, then we'd be inclined to argue the point that there's no better character out there currently. And it looks like it's only going to get better from here, because with him now having the fact that he was screwed out of the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 40 to add to his pile of things to be angry about. And we can also expect him to still go nuclear whenever he comes into contact with CM Punk, as the two continue to build to their inevitable one-on-one encounter. And who knows, maybe Drew will win his upcoming match against Damian Priest at Clash at the Castle in his home country of Scotland and reclaim the world title. And if he does this, we have no doubt that he'll go on to have a big match by defending the title against his archenemy CM Punk, maybe even at SummerSlam. Of course, our next subject might have something to say about this, however, because they no doubt want the belt back themselves, and that's Seth Rollins. Now, a few minutes ago, we made the claim that Gunther may be the best in-ring performer currently working for WWE, and while that may be a true statement for many, a lot of others would make the case that it's really Seth Rollins, because he's also someone that's been on another level consistently. And while his greatness in WWE has been evident as far back as 2012, it's only been in the last couple of years since Triple H took over creative that he's really felt like the guy who could lead a brand. Of course, this isn't to say he couldn't have done such a thing before had he been given the ball to run with, but obviously, Vince McMahon never had him booked at the tippy top level. When it comes to the cerebral assassin, though, he seems only too happy to push Rollins to the moon as the top guy on Raw, someone who would win that brand's newly introduced World Heavyweight title in 2023, and from there, hold it all the way up until WrestleMania 40. And during that time, the Monday Night Messiah was able to re-establish his position as the work rate king of the Fed by having, in the words of Sheamus, banger after banger after banger against the likes of AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, and even Sami Zayn. Yes, there was never a night where Rollins missed, and so because of that, fans always wanted to see him whenever it came time for the bell to ring. Sure, it looks like his immediate future will be spent on the shelf, as according to his wife Becky Lynch, he's recently undergone knee surgery. But we've been here before with the Architect, and whenever he's returned from similar injuries in the past, he's always come back bigger and better than he had been before. So God knows how good he'll be next time we see him. Maybe Triple H will have no choice but to go all the way to the very pinnacle with the Iowa native and have him be the one to beat Cody Rhodes. But if for whatever reason Seth doesn't manage to climb that mountain, there are plenty of other contenders who could be champ after the American Nightmare's reign is over, and one of those is our next subject, Jey Uso. Now, for making this video a few years ago, then the idea of having Jey Uso be listed as one of the best of WWE as a solo act would have been unlikely. Sure, he was always a great tag team wrestler, but that was a part of a duo with his twin brother Jimmy. When it came to singles action, however, he was completely unproven. So that was why it came as such a pleasant surprise then, that after morphing into main event Jey Uso in 2020, a man good enough to challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal title, we got our first sign that he was a lot better of a solo act than anyone could have expected. And this idea would only be further bolstered when, in 2023, Jey left the bloodline entirely and moved over to Raw, where for the first time in his career, he truly was left to fly solo without his family by his side. Yes, this was a risky move, but in the end it paid off dividends, as since that point, the youngest Uso sibling has proven himself to be such a hit with fans that it would almost seem like a step back for him to return to the tag team division now. But it's not all about the men in the modern era of WWE, as our earlier touching upon Rhea Ripley showed. And if you want another example of a woman who's absolutely killing it in the Fed under Triple H, then you need to look no further than Bianca Belair. Yes, despite having no wrestling experience before signing with WWE in 2016, she's since managed to prove herself to be a prodigy, the likes of which are rarely seen. Really, to look at her on SmackDown today, you'd think she's been doing this for well over a decade, but the truth is, she's only 8 years into her career. And in that time, she's already become a 2-time world champion, 1-time Royal Rumble winner, and 1-time WrestleMania main eventer. So who knows where she'll be 5 years from now when she's even more experienced. Will she have fully usurped the likes of Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley to become the key woman on the game's roster? It's entirely possible as, barring any serious injuries, there's no reason she should be slowing down anytime soon. Now, we fully expect Bianca Belair to be a pillar of WWE's women's division for years to come yet, whether that be on Raw or on SmackDown. After all, despite what she's achieved already, there are still plenty of things for her to do in WWE, and there are still plenty of names she's yet to face. Names like Roxanne Perez, Lyra Valkyria, or the apparently incoming Julia. So strap in if you're a fan of hers, because the good times are only just getting started with respect to her run. But then the same can be said about everyone we've looked at today, because WWE is currently hotter than ever, and these performers will be the ones leading the charge from the front line as the absolute best the new era has to offer.